think we're live, or we're just getting set here. Sweet. Pinwheel, it's thinking. Okay, awesome. Welcome back to Art During the Quarantine, day 39. Woo! Oh my gosh, this is I just can't even believe it. It's kind of odd how normal it all feels, I think. Let me pray and bless this time, and we'll jump in. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the things that you have taught us and shown us so far. I pray over this time that you would just anoint it with your blessing and your creativity. Would we give our ideas to you and make art to bless you? It's in your name that we pray. Amen. Awesome. Well, I'm Meg. I'm an art teacher here in Spain. Today we are going to draw with tape, which is a wild and totally fun thing because tape is usually used to create boundaries and some sort of system. But the awesome thing about tape is that it can also be a line form, and we can really use it to speak in powerful ways in our artwork. So we're going to do that today together. I'll show you how we're going to kind of map it out. And then, of course, you'll be making your own calls on your own piece of paper. And I hope all of our pieces look incredibly different and all beautiful. So let's get started. Here's the materials you need. You need, obviously, some tape. Good idea. I have a set of watercolors, a little bit of water in a jar here. I got a couple paint brushes, whatever size or preference you have is great. And a blank piece of paper like this. Beautiful. All right, let me turn my camera and we'll just get started here. Great. Okay, sorry, moving that down. Great. So here I am. I've got this blank piece of paper right here. What I am going to do is use this tape and treat it as if it's a pen or a pencil in my hand. And what I mean by that is just like how we might put a ruler down on the page and draw a line from one side to the other. We're going to treat tape with the same kind of respect and same type of, drawing properties. So I'm going to take a piece of tape. I'm going to keep it just a little bit longer than the actual length of my paper, maybe just a little bit more, give it a couple inches. And I'm going to rip it off, and I'm going to slide this across my page in a diagonal formation like that. Great. Be sure to press down on each side of the tape and adhere it to the paper super tightly because, especially with watercolors, watercolors like to be friends with other watercolors. So if we're going to use tape as our sort of lines of drawing, we want to be sure that the watercolor is not leaking underneath it. Okay, go back, grab a piece of tape. What we're essentially going to be doing is kind of creating a grid of sorts around our paper. I'm going to take one about this length, so kind of like the width of a hand or the length of a hand maybe, like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tape and I'm going to cross it from this far corner into the tape line that I have. Again, pressing really tightly on each side, being sure that each of those boundaries is good. I'm going to rip this tape so that it ends in the middle of the tape line that I already have. Great. So I've kind of created, again, a system of grids. If you can see my tape there, there we go. That's a little easier. It's hard. My tape is light. Should have gotten a darker one, but I've got a tape line here, a tape line here. We're going to continue this grid in like fashion, covering our page. Not too much tape because we still want to have some room to draw and be creative. But I'm going to take some smaller pieces and I'm going to slowly kind of create a web in between the lines that I already have established on my page. Again, if your tape is a little bit longer, be sure that those edges are super clean. You don't want any of this stuff inside your paper. You want to keep those lines nice and crisp. That'll help create the illusion of this sort of grid and map that we're making. If it goes off your paper, that's totally fine. Again, remember to get each of those edges. So now I'm just kind of going off and being creative, trying a couple different angles, shapes, and sizes, keeping in mind that we're going to fill these spots with color later. So pick shapes that you think would be interesting to see in contrast with the lines that you have. I'm going to go back, grab a little bit more tape. Such a satisfying sound. Man. Great. So I'm going to take, this is a longer piece of tape going from this far border that I have all the way kind of into this diagonal that I first put down on the page. Let's see here. I'm going to do one that goes all the way across, one or two of those. Awesome. Like that. I'm going to keep it at an angle. And we're going to keep going until you feel like you have a good amount of these smaller spaces on your paper. A good way to know when that would be, it's a good question. I'm asking myself that as I'm talking here. It's like, oh, how would they know? How would you know? A good time to know when to stop would be that if you feel like you have way too much tape, that you're actually having a hard time like seeing the paper, that'd be a good time. Besides that, you can just continue on in whatever pattern makes sense for you. Okay, great. Again, being sure just to get all of those edges on there. If you have places where multiple pieces of tape intersect, be sure that you're really like carved down there. I don't have super long nails, but carved down there like that to make sure that that watercolor isn't going to bleed underneath. Okay, I probably got maybe 6 to 8 more tape lines left. I'm going to just try to create a couple more of these smaller shapes. And then everything else from here should be super smooth sailing. These drawings are so fun because it's like you put the heavy lifting at the very beginning, you get all of your shapes decided, and then the rest is kind of quite truly art therapy, I think. Kind of nice and mellow for this beautiful afternoon. I don't know where you are, but it is just gorgeous and sunny and lovely. Always grateful when the sun comes out, because even though I can't like totally be free and outside, it is so good to get to enjoy the world God has made, even from the comfort of home. Yeah. My question of the day for my students when we started class was, tell me the last food that you ate. Because they did actually the video I did last week about snack arrangement today as a study snack, study snack break. I felt like that would be a fun one for going into this long weekend that they have. Okay. I'm really getting close here. I'm starting to have just really, really small pieces of tape. Again, just be sure that the tail ends of each of those pieces of tape, like for example, right here, I didn't quite get it all the way exactly where I need it to go. Just being sure that all those angles are super crisp. Okay, great. So if you're doing this video with a friend or just want to yell in the room by yourself, tell someone the last thing you ate, and now you're officially in my art class. So, okay. Great. All right, so I think I've got enough shapes on here. I could do a couple more pieces, but I'm feeling pretty good. I want some larger shapes to be on the borders. And if you can see closer with some of the ridges, you can see where my tape lines end. Now is a really good time to just turn your paper over and press down really hard just to make sure if any tape for some reason sort of picked up, and you can just kind of go like this on the back. Make sure that it's all pressed down really well. Okay, we are ready to get the paint out. If you have tape coming off the edges, you can just kind of tape it to the surface that you have. I've got a sketchbook, so we're just going to do that. That way everything is nice and decided. Not going to go anywhere. Okay, grab out that jar of water and those watercolors, a paintbrush, and we'll get moving. Okay, I am going to pick that same brush actually I used yesterday that I just adore. My brush looks like this. It's got a little bit of a rounded tip. It's really not going to matter too much what tip on your paintbrush you have for this project, because you can paint wherever. You have no true boundaries that you need to like really be cautious of. I would just pick one that you think won't get your paper maybe too saturated. That would be my only words of wisdom. I'm going to grab out my watercolors and let's pick a color palette. One of the most exciting parts of a project, right? Okay, so I'm having a hard time pulling this forward. Okay, so here we are. Last time I chose sort of these like nice golds, yellows, and oranges. Today I'm going to switch it up. Let's go blue, green, and purple. Maybe I'll add a little bit of this like kind of caramely curry color in there too to kind of add some variety. But the first thing we're going to do before we even dip our brush and get these paints ready to go is actually just paint a couple squares or shapes on your page with water. So that's one of the best ways to make sure that your page is ready to receive the pigment. And depending on the way that you want it to feather or affect, it will look differently. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start down here in this first shape that I have. I'm going to fill the entire shape with water, like just like that. Okay, I'm going to do one or two of neighbor shapes just to kind of get it all ready to go. And I'll probably do this one on the bottom too. We'll start with those three. Great. So now that I've got those established, I'm going to go back into my paint, take a little bit more water on your brush. And let's start with, I'm going to start with this kind of like aqua color. I don't quite have room on my screen to show you, but I can show you on my brush. It is vibrant and just gorgeous. And I'm going to start by just placing some near the edges of each of the shapes that I've chosen, just like this. Depending on how saturated your paint is, you might need to go back and grab a little bit more. Notice that as soon as I start to do that, it's going to feather into the center of my shape, and that's exactly what I want. So let the paint do its magic. Go back and repeat the process with those other two shapes. Lovely. This is the art therapy part. It's like, oh, these colors are just so beautiful. Okay, great. So I've got two. You notice that they're really feathering. They're going over my tape lines, and that's totally okay because those lines are there and they're going to work for me. So I don't have to really be too cautious about getting the lines too perfect. In fact, to go over them a little bit will make the edges kind of crisp if your paint is doing its job. So there's that. Great. So next step, I'm going to grab a color that's going to contrast well with this aqua. I'm going to go for sort of like a darker blue. Let's see. Prussian blue sounds good. Okay. And I got a little bit of this darker blue on my brush. It's almost a navy, kind of close, but not entirely. And I'm going to start by just dripping a couple of these inside these shapes that I have. Okay, and there they should sort of blend together and just kind of become a little watercolor mess. That's exactly what you want. Okay, notice this square down here needs a little bit more water. So we're going to do just that. Okay, grab a little bit more of that darker or contrast color and get that in spots on your page. Beautiful. Okay, awesome. So we want to get these couples shapes set while the water is still there. So I'm going to grab a little bit of green. And I'm going to inch this just in a couple focal points here on my square. Like that. And over here, do the same thing. If the colors really start to feather together, you know you're doing your job. Gorgeous. Okay. So I've got a little bit of wind here, so my page is drying faster than I would like, and it's okay. Sort of the mysteries of doing art outside, but I'll take the beautiful sounds of nature any day. So there we are. We've got these three shapes completed. What we're going to do is jump to the shapes on the side. I'm actually going to try to rotate my paper because some of these have some drips going on. I want to make sure this pigment can find its way towards the rest of the shape. What I'm going to do again is go back to my water. I'm going to just do two shapes this time since they dried a little bit quicker. Cover these with water. It's tinted now just a little bit blue. That's all right. Get those fully coated. And we're going to repeat the same process. We can do a little bit of variety with these, though. We could start with the outside being that darker blue or even the green if you wanted to. The blue's calling my name, so I'm just going to inch this color around the border. And we'll do it like that. Great. Grab a little bit more. Do your second shape here. Just like that. And they should be bleeding and sort of feathering into, oh, this one's really, really nice up here. Look at those lines. Gorgeous. It's almost like blue fire. I love it. I'm a pyro too. Love fire. So any fire effects I can get, I'm always down for. Okay, I'm gonna go with the green next and just gonna do the same effect. Just like that. Let those feather and then add a little bit more of that aqua in there. In a couple of those spots. It's best if you can leave your paper a little bit more level. I'm going to practice what I preach here. Get a couple more of these spots in there. Again, if they really start to mix to the point where you can't even tell where you brush the color, that's perfect, because you'll get to see these kind of lines of history as the paint dries. So cool. Watercolors do just some of the best stuff. Okay, so again, we're going to rotate the paper. I'm going to show you the cool side. We're going to do some of the shapes in the middle and then work our way towards your side of the paper. Clean off your brush, get those two, whatever shapes are in the middle of your page, get them saturated with water, and we'll do the same process. I'm going to start with green on the outside and then work from light to dark with intensity of pigment. So we'll do that, work our way in. This green is lovely too. Okay, dab a little aqua in there wherever you are. Might not need much if it's a really small shape like mine. Oh, my uncle's tuning in. Hello, hello. It's good to see you, or at least hopefully you can see me. I miss you guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Oh, great. All right, so I've got a couple more of these shapes in the middle, just sort of, sounds weird to say bleeding out, but kind of letting those colors kind of settle and feather together. And then I'm going to go to a couple of the shapes that are its neighbors. Again, you know the drill. Get the shape saturated with water, and then, oh, look, it spilled right over. Actually, really beautiful. I love this activity because if it happens, it's not a bad thing necessarily. Super cool. Okay, we'll do the same thing over here, and I did the same thing. Man, this has never happened before. It's cool. Okay, again, we'll quote Bob Ross, happy little accidents. It's awesome. So cool. All right, I'm going with the aqua around the borders for a couple of these. You do whatever makes sense for your page. Now that we've kind of tried a couple different methods, it's totally your call. Get a little bit of that darker pigment in there, spice it up a little bit. Add the green to maybe calm it down a little. Okay. Lovely. This is reminding me of like time on the coast. I got to go to Valencia, Spain a little while ago, and it was just gorgeous. Missing that beach. Okay, great. So this one especially is marbling just beautifully. We're going to continue to work our way towards the border. I'm going to get this shape ready to rumble. Let's do one more. Let's do this one too. Same time. Great. How are your colors melding together? Are they doing what you're hoping? Hoping they behave like? I hope so. I do. Lovely. Man, something about bringing colors together that are good friends is very satisfying. Okay, we'll continue this dabbling method. Sorry, I'm off the camera here. Okay, just like that. So far I've got that darker blue, the aqua, and I'm going to sprinkle in the green. Great. I've got about 6 or 7 shapes left. I'm going to work towards this border. Saturate these last 2 shapes over here. Great. Grab that dark blue. I'm going for the green first. And add a little aqua. These ones are more intense on the border, and I'm kind of into it. I think it's beautiful. Great. Rotate. Let's do it. Okay, we've got a couple shapes here on the border. Closest to you. Let's get these painted in. Getting these nice and saturated. And it's the same gorgeous process every time. just looks different, which I love the variety. I think it's so cool to see how different materials like engage with each other. And I find, I mean, I'm a potter, so we're used to accidents turning out as wonderful blessings and also like deep tragedy. Like sometimes things blow up in the kiln you're not expecting, or sometimes pots crack because they dry too quick. So we're used to all of those things, but I love that watercolor seems to always have a mind of its own, generally in a way that tends to be a little bit more forgiving than pots are, which no complaints there. That's pretty cool. Okay, onward. You can tell that my water is getting intense, more and more intensely blue throughout this project, but that's okay. A good thing to notice is that as the paints are drying, even as I look at these ones that I first painted, the colors are lightening up quite a bit. So if you feel like you're like, well, this is color overload, it might be, but chances are once the colors really set, you're gonna wish maybe you even had a little bit more pigment. So don't be shy, all that to say. Don't be shy. Okay. Okay, getting a little variety of color in there. Let those marble on their own. Great. And we've got just a couple shapes left. I'm gonna rotate. I feel like we're doing a dance today. Okay, sweet. Got these last two. Gonna get those ready to go. And you know the drill. Get some of that pigment in there on those borders. Like that. So pretty. It's so fun to see how colors just decide to become friends. I like to think about them as friends. Some are enemies, that's for certain, but sometimes we just have to remain optimistic. Okay, looks like we're rounding the corner here, fam. We're doing great. Okay, so we did awesome. This is our page so far. I can't totally turn it towards you, but I'll tilt it as much as I possibly can. We've got this page separated by all these wonderful lines of tape. What I would recommend, I'll turn this towards my face since I can't turn it towards you anymore. What I would recommend is that you let this page completely dry before you peel off the tape. What you're going to see later is almost like a stained glass window effect of different colors, all of course separated by those lines of tape, our drawings per se. It's been so fun to paint with you. This one was a little bit quicker than I expected, but maybe just because the wind here is making the paint dry. Who knows? Let me pray and bless you, and we will be on our way. I'll post a picture of this beauty a little bit later. Okay. Lord God, thank you for each and every person who has jumped on here and done some art along with me. I pray that you would bless them, give them patience for what this day asks of them, and would you just give us even more courage as we just go forward and living in this world with a lot of uncertainty. God, we just want to say that we trust you and that we love you, and we give you our efforts here, and we give you whatever strength we have left in this day. We give it to you, Lord. It is in your name that we pray. Amen. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm Meg. I will see you tomorrow for our last quarantine art of the week. I hope you have an awesome afternoon. We'll see you later. Bye.